Rain hammered the Los Angeles streets that Friday night. A little girl stood soaking wet outside a Korean restaurant, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed the arm of a black woman walking by, a complete stranger, and the words that came out shocked them both. Please, can you marry my dad?
Marry my father.
The woman froze, staring at this desperate child. What did you just say? But the girl didn't let go. Her small fingers gripped tighter. Please. He's dying inside and I don't know how to save him. Have you ever watched someone you love fade away right in front of you? Have you ever felt so desperate that you'd beg a stranger for help? Drop a comment below and tell us about a time you had to make a difficult choice for someone you loved. And if this story moves you, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happens next will change everything you think you know about grief, love, and second chances. Let's go back 2 weeks to understand how we got here. Yoona Shin sat alone at the breakfast table in their luxury Koreatown penthouse. 11 years old and already carrying the weight of the world. The table was set for two but only one seat was filled. Her father's chair sat empty. Again. Mrs. Kim, their housekeeper, placed a bowl of rice in front of her with sad eyes. Your father worked late again, Miss Yoona. Yoona nodded without looking up. She already knew. It had been the same every morning for 3 years. 3 years since her mother died. 3 years since her father became a ghost in his own life. Director Shin Jae-sung emerged from his home office at 7:30, exactly like clockwork. 42 years old, designer suit, expensive watch, and eyes that looked right through everything. In the Korean criminal underworld of Los Angeles, his name meant power. Protection rackets, gambling operations, real estate deals that existed in the gray areas of the law. If money moved in Koreatown, Director Shin touched it. But at home, he barely existed at all. Appa, Yoona said quietly, using the Korean word for father. It's Friday. Can we have dinner tonight? Jae-sung checked his phone without really looking at her. I have meetings. His voice was flat, empty. You always have meetings. She tried to keep the hurt out of her voice but failed. Be good. Study hard. He kissed the top of her head, automatic, mechanical, meaningless. Then he was gone. The door closed and Yoona sat in the silence that had become her constant companion. She pulled out a small journal from her backpack. The pages were filled with entries tracking her father's decline. Day 1095 since her mother died. Her father had smiled 0 times that week. He'd spoken to her for exactly 93 seconds total. She was losing him more each day and nobody seemed to notice or care. Mrs. Kim touched her shoulder gently. He loved your mother very much, child. Grief makes people do strange things. Yoona closed the journal. It's been 3 years. When does the grief end? Mrs. Kim had no answer to give. At school that afternoon, Yoona sat alone in the cafeteria. Around her, other kids talked about their weekend plans with an enthusiasm she could barely remember feeling. My dad's taking us to Disneyland, one girl squealed. Another boy groaned, my parents are having date night. So embarrassing. Yoona kept her head down, sketching in her journal, pretending the words didn't cut. A classmate named Sophia sat across from her. Hey Yoona, is your dad picking you up today? She didn't look up. My driver picks me up. Sophia tilted her head. Your dad never comes to school stuff, does he? He's busy, Yoona said, her standard answer. He runs a big company. It was the lie she told everyone. The cover story. Nobody knew her father was a crime boss. Nobody knew about the armed guards or the dangerous men who came to their house for meetings. Nobody knew anything real about her life. After school, Yoona stood by the fence watching other children run to their parents. Hugs. Laughter. Connection. Things that felt like they belonged to a different universe. Her bodyguard Young waited by the black SUV, silent and professional. She climbed in without a word. They drove home in silence. That evening, Yoona did something she'd been doing every Friday for months. She followed her father. Young dropped her at the house, thinking she went inside. Instead, she slipped out the back and took a taxi using money she'd been saving from her allowance. The taxi dropped her outside her father's restaurant in Koreatown. She stood in the cold, watching through the window. Inside, her father sat alone at a large table meant for celebrations. Empty bottles of soju lined the surface. Plates of untouched food grew cold. He stared at his phone, at the wallpaper, a photo of Yuna's mother. Hannah. Beautiful and smiling and alive in a way that felt impossible now. Yuna's mother had been everything bright in their world. A teacher with warmth that drew people in. She'd met Jae-sung when he was already deep in the criminal life. She loved him anyway, seeing the good man beneath the dangerous exterior. When Yuna was born, Hannah made him promise something. Promise to go legitimate. To build a different life, a safe life for their daughter. But cancer came first. Aggressive and merciless. Within 6 months, Hannah was gone. And with her, Jae-sung's promise died too. Yuna watched her father through the glass and her heart broke again the way it did every Friday. Appa, she whispered to her reflection. I don't know how to bring you back. But that night, something changed. As she stood there drowning in helplessness, a woman walked past on the sidewalk. A black woman, maybe mid-30s, talking on her phone. And she was laughing. Actually laughing. Her voice carried warmth that cut through the cold night. She radiated life in a way Yuna hadn't seen in years. The woman's smile was genuine, her energy infectious even from a distance. In that moment, watching this stranger glow with the kind of presence her father had lost, Yuna had an idea. It was crazy and desperate and probably impossible. But it was something. The next day was Saturday. Yuna convinced Mrs. Kim she wanted to go to the Grove, the outdoor shopping mall. I need books for a school project, she said. It wasn't entirely a lie. Young drove her there and she headed straight for the bookstore. But she wasn't looking for books. She was looking for someone. And there she was. The woman from the night before, browsing the psychology section. Up close, Yuna could see her more clearly. Natural hair pulled back with a colorful head wrap. A vibrant purple dress that somehow made everyone else look dull. An easy smile as she talked to the barista about books. If one more person tells me grief has 5 stages, I might scream, the woman laughed, her voice rich and warm. Grief doesn't follow a manual, you know what I mean? The barista laughed with her, clearly charmed. Yuna watched from behind a bookshelf, studying the stranger like she was the answer to a test Yuna desperately needed to pass. Everything about this woman was present and alive. Everything her father wasn't anymore. The woman turned to leave and accidentally bumped into Yuna. Books tumbled from her hands and scattered across the floor. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, sweetie. You okay? She knelt down immediately, helping Yuna gather the fallen books. Yuna noticed the titles as they picked them up together. Complicated grief. Trauma and healing. Moving forward after loss. Are you into psychology? The woman asked, catching Yuna's interest in the titles. That's pretty advanced reading for someone your age. How old are you? Her voice held genuine curiosity, not condescension. 11, Yuna said quietly. These are for research. The woman's eyebrows raised. Research? What kind of research needs books like these? Yuna hesitated, then the truth slipped out before she could stop it. How to help someone who's sad all the time. The woman's expression shifted immediately. Her easy smile faded into something more serious, more caring. The professional mask of someone who understood pain intimately. That's a big project for anyone, especially an 11-year-old. Is this for school? Yuna shook her head. Family thing. The 2 words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. The woman studied Yuna's face and seemed to see more than most adults bothered to look for. She was quiet for a moment, then spoke gently. Well, whoever you're trying to help is very lucky to have someone who cares this much. She gave Yuna a smile that felt real, not the pitying kind adults usually offered. She patted Yuna's shoulder with genuine kindness. Good luck with your research, honey. Then she stood and walked toward the checkout. Yuna stood frozen, watching her leave. That's her, she whispered to herself, certainty blooming in her chest. That's the one who can save Appa. What Yuna did next would have shocked anyone who knew her as the quiet, obedient daughter. She went home and used her father's computer. His password was easy, Hannah's birthday. She had access to resources most 11-year-olds couldn't dream of. Her father's connections. His information networks. She spent 3 days carefully investigating the stranger from the bookstore while her father worked his endless hours and barely noticed she existed. The information came together piece by piece. Dr. Simone Williams. Age 34. Licensed therapist specializing in grief and trauma counseling. Originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Recently divorced after 6 years of marriage. Moved to Los Angeles 6 months ago for a fresh start. Volunteered at community centers teaching art therapy to kids. No criminal record. No connection whatsoever to the Korean community or the criminal underworld. She had no idea who director Shin Jae-sung was or what he did. Perfect. She wouldn't be scared because she wouldn't know to be scared. She wouldn't run because she wouldn't understand the danger. And she helped people with grief for a living. That's literally what she did every day. Yoona dug deeper, feeling like a detective in one of the crime shows she wasn't supposed to watch. She found Dr. Williams' schedule through her office website. Weekly therapy session every Friday at 6 o'clock. In an office building just 3 blocks from her father's restaurant. Her father had a business dinner scheduled that same Friday. Same time, same neighborhood. The coincidence felt like fate. Or maybe like her mother reaching down from wherever she was now, guiding Yoona's hands. Alma, Yoona whispered to the photo on her nightstand that night. If you can hear me, please let this work. Please help me save Appa. Friday came and Yoona's stomach twisted with nerves all day. She could barely focus in school. Her teachers asked if she felt okay. She nodded and kept her head down, counting the hours until 6 o'clock. After school, she told Mrs. Kim she wanted to go out that evening. Your father has his dinner meeting, Mrs. Kim warned, concerned. I know, Yoona said, too quickly. That's why I need to go out. I'll be with Young. It's safe. Mrs. Kim studied her face but finally nodded. Young drove her to Koreatown, thinking she wanted to visit the Korean bakery she liked. Instead, Yoona asked him to drop her at the office building where Dr. Williams had her sessions. I'll wait in the car, Miss Yoona, Young said. No, you can go get coffee. I'll text when I'm ready. Young hesitated. He was supposed to stay with her. But she'd never given him trouble before and the neighborhood was safe. 30 minutes, he said firmly. Then I'm coming back whether you text or not. Yoona nodded and watched him drive away. Then she positioned herself under an awning outside the office building and waited. The sky opened up. December rain in Los Angeles, cold and relentless. Yoona stood there getting soaked, watching the building entrance. At 6:45, Dr. Simone Williams emerged from the glass doors. She was on her phone, laughing about something, her voice cutting through the sound of rain. Even in the downpour, she seemed to carry sunshine with her. She started walking toward the parking structure down the block. This was it. Yoona's only chance. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it over the rain. She stepped out from under the awning, rain immediately soaking through her jacket. She ran toward Dr. Williams, her shoes splashing through puddles. She reached out and grabbed the woman's arm. Dr. Williams stopped mid-step, phone still at her ear. Girl, let me call you back, she said into the phone, her eyes fixed on the soaking wet child gripping her sleeve. She ended the call and turned fully toward Yoona. Honey, are you okay? Are you lost? Her voice shifted immediately into concern mode, professional instincts kicking in. Yoona shook her head, water dripping from her hair into her eyes. No. I came here on purpose. To find you. Simone's eyebrows drew together in confusion. To find me? Sweetie, I don't know you. What's going on? I know you, Yoona said, her voice shaking from cold and fear and desperation all mixed together. Dr. Simone Williams. You're a therapist. You help people with grief and trauma. Simone's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. How do you know my name? Where are your parents? Thunder cracked overhead and Yoona flinched but didn't let go of Simone's arm. My mom is dead. My dad is dying too, just slower. And you're the only person who can help him. The words tumbled out in a rush, 3 years of pain compressed into one sentence. Simone looked around, searching for an adult, a parent, anyone responsible for this child. The street was empty except for passing cars. Okay, first things first. You're soaking wet and it's freezing. Come on. She guided Yoona under the awning of a nearby coffee shop, taking off her own jacket and wrapping it around the shivering girl. It was too big, swallowing Yoona's small frame, but it was warm and smelled like lavender and safety. Now, Simone said, kneeling down to be eye level with Yuna. Start from the beginning. What's your name? Her voice was gentle but firm, the voice of someone who'd spent years coaxing truth from wounded people. Yuna. Yuna Shin. Simone nodded slowly, processing. Okay, Yuna. I'm Simone. You said something about your dad? The gentle tone, the professional calm, the complete attention, it broke something loose in Yuna. Tears started flowing, mixing with the rain on her face. My mom died 3 years ago. Cancer. It was fast and horrible, and it broke something in my dad. He stopped being alive after she died. Yuna's voice cracked as the words poured out. He goes to work, he comes home, but he's not really there. It's like he died with her, but his body forgot to stop moving. He doesn't smile. He doesn't laugh. He barely talks to me. I'm losing him and I don't know what to do. Simone's face showed recognition, the kind that comes from seeing the same pattern repeated in different lives. This was her specialty. But hearing it from a child hit differently than hearing it in her office from adults. I'm so sorry, honey. That sounds incredibly hard for both of you. Yuna pulled out her journal from her backpack, the pages warped from rain. Look. I've been tracking it. Every day. She showed Simone the entries, page after page of careful documentation. Day 1095, 0 smiles, 3 minutes of conversation, slept at office. Day 1096, forgot piano recital, 0 smiles, 2 minutes of conversation. The list went on, a chronicle of grief measured in absences and silence. Each entry was a small knife wound, the accumulation of them devastating. Simone read the entries and something in her chest tightened painfully. This child had been carrying this alone, documenting her father's slow death with the precision of a scientist studying a disease she couldn't cure. Yuna, this is a lot for an 11-year-old to carry. You shouldn't have to track your father's emotions like this. Her voice was thick with emotion she was trying to keep professional. That's why I need your help, Yuna said, desperation making her voice shake. I tried everything else. I introduced him to women from our church. Korean ladies who knew my mom. Family friends. But they're all too scared of him or he won't talk to them. He just shuts down completely. Scared of him? Simone's therapist alarm bells started ringing. Red flags waving. Why would they be scared? Yuna hesitated, choosing her words carefully. She couldn't tell the whole truth. Not yet. He's intense. He runs a business. A big one. People respect him a lot. Maybe too much. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was enough for now. Simone filed the information away, her professional instincts noting the careful evasion. Something was being left unsaid. But she let it go for the moment. But you, Yuna continued, her voice gaining urgency. You're different. You don't know him, so you won't be intimidated. And you help people with grief. That's literally what you do for a living. You understand this better than anyone. Simone sat back on her heels, rain dripping from the awning beside them in a steady rhythm. She looked at this desperate child and saw herself reflected back. How many times had she told her patients that grief requires intervention? That connection is the only cure for isolation? That taking risks is necessary for healing? How many times had she preached those principles while running from her own pain, hiding in her work, keeping everyone at arm's length since her divorce? And here was a child actually practicing what Simone only preached, trying to save her father while Simone had spent 2 years running from anything real. Yuna, I can't just marry someone because, she started gently, trying to be the responsible adult. Not marry today. Yuna interrupted, grabbing both of Simone's hands now. Her grip was surprisingly strong for such a small person. I know how crazy it sounds. I know. Just meet him. Talk to him. One conversation. That's all I'm asking. If you meet him and think there's no hope, I'll never bother you again. I promise. Her eyes were huge and desperate and so full of hope it was physically painful to look at directly. Honey, I don't know if that's appropriate, Simone said, but her resolve was already cracking. She could feel it happening, could feel herself being pulled into this child's desperate plan against every professional instinct she had. Please, Yuna whispered. The single word carried the weight of 3 years of loneliness. I'm losing him. I've tried everything else. You're my last chance. The words hit Simone like a physical blow, knocking the air from her lungs. She'd heard similar words from patients before, but never from a child about their parent. Never delivered with such raw, unfiltered desperation. She looked through the rain toward the restaurant district a few blocks away. Every professional instinct told her to say no. To call this girl's father. To handle this properly through official channels. To not get personally involved in a situation that had red flags written all over it. But something else, the part of her that became a therapist in the first place, the part that couldn't walk away from pain, the part that was tired of running from real human connection, that part wouldn't let her leave. Where is he right now? The question came out before she could stop it. Yuna's face transformed, hope blazing so bright it was almost painful to witness. 3 blocks from here. At a Korean barbecue restaurant. He has a business dinner but his associates will leave soon. He always stays late by himself. Always alone. Her voice broke on the last word. Simone closed her eyes, knowing she was about to do something potentially very stupid. Something that could blow up in her face. Something unprofessional and risky and completely outside the boundaries of appropriate therapist conduct. And you want me to just walk in and introduce myself? Yuna nodded frantically, rain and tears streaming down her face. I'll be there. I'll explain everything. Just give him one chance. Please. One conversation. Simone thought about her own divorce. Her own running away. Her own inability to practice what she preached. She thought about every patient she'd told to be brave, to take risks, to let people in. She thought about the hypocrisy of counseling others to face their pain while she hid from her own. What kind of therapist would she be if she ran now? What kind of person? Okay, she heard herself say, the word coming from somewhere deeper than logic or professional training. One conversation. That's it. Yuna threw her arms around her, nearly knocking her over. The child was crying and laughing at the same time, the sound muffled against Simone's shoulder. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Her whole body shook with relief. Simone held her for a moment, this child who was trying so hard to save her father. This brave, desperate, brilliant little girl who'd tracked down a stranger and begged for help. Come on, she said softly. Let's go meet your dad before I change my mind. They walked through the rain together, Yuna leading the way with newfound confidence. 3 blocks felt like 3 miles. Every step toward the restaurant made Simone question her decision. Every step made Yuna's heart pound harder. This was actually happening. Her impossible, crazy, desperate plan was becoming real. The restaurant came into view, upscale and private with warm light spilling onto the wet sidewalk. Through the windows, Yuna could see her father sitting at his usual table. He was alone now, the business associates gone. 2 men in suits stood nearby trying to look casual, but their eyes never stopped scanning the room. Bodyguards. That's him, Yuna said, pointing through the window. The man sitting alone. Simone studied him through the rain-streaked glass. Even from outside, even through the distortion of water and distance, she could see it. The profound isolation. The walls built so high and thick that nothing could get in or out. The way he sat perfectly still, staring at his phone like it held answers to questions he'd stopped asking. Her therapist brain immediately recognized complicated grief when she saw it. The kind that turns people into shells of themselves. The kind that kills slowly from the inside out. He looks sad, she said softly, her professional assessment delivered in layman's terms. He is, Yuna replied, her voice barely above a whisper. He just doesn't show it anymore. He doesn't show anything anymore. It's like he forgot how to feel. They stood there for a moment, both of them soaked to the bone, staring through the window at a man who'd forgotten how to be alive. Rain pounded the sidewalk around them. Cars passed, their headlights creating momentary brightness before fading back to darkness. Last chance to change your mind, Simone said, giving them both an out. Giving herself permission to walk away from this mess before it started. Yuna shook her head with absolute certainty. No. This has to work. It has to. She grabbed Simone's hand and pulled her toward the entrance with surprising strength. The door opened with a small chime that seemed too cheerful for the moment. The hostess looked up from her podium, recognized Yuna immediately, and her professional smile faltered. Miss Shin, your father didn't mention you were coming tonight. I know where he is, Yuna said, not slowing down. She pulled Simone through the restaurant, weaving between tables. The hostess opened her mouth to protest, but something about the determination on the child's face stopped her. The two bodyguards noticed them approaching. Their hands moved subtly toward concealed weapons. Their eyes locked on Simone, assessing threat level. One of them, an older man with gray at his temples, stepped forward. "Miss Yuna, who is this?" His voice was polite but carried an edge of warning. "This is Dr. Simone Williams," Yuna announced, her voice steadier than she felt. "She's my friend. We're here to see Appa." The bodyguard looked between the child and the stranger, calculating. His hand stayed near his weapon. "Your father is not expecting visitors." But Yuna was already moving past him. She'd lived with these men her whole life. She knew they wouldn't actually stop her. They might stop Simone, but not her. Not the boss's daughter. Jae-sung looked up from his phone, his expression shifting from blank to confused in the span of a heartbeat. "Yuna?" His voice held surprise and something else. Concern maybe. Or the ghost of concern, the memory of what that emotion used to feel like. "What are you doing here?" He spoke in Korean, the language of family and private moments. "Appa," Yuna replied in English, pulling Simone forward. "This is Dr. Simone Williams. She's my new friend." Simone extended her hand, professional but warm despite the awkwardness of the situation. "Hi. Your daughter is very persistent. She seems worried about you." Her voice was steady, confident. She'd walked into difficult situations before in her practice. This was just another one. Or so she told herself. Jae-sung stared at this unexpected stranger. His eyes were cold, calculating, assessing. The eyes of a man who trusted nothing and no one. The bodyguards tensed further, waiting for orders. The older one, Park, moved his hand closer to his weapon. "I don't know who you are," Jae-sung said carefully, each word measured. His English was perfect, barely accented. "Or what my daughter told you. But this is not appropriate." His tone was ice. The kind of cold that warned people to back away slowly. But Simone didn't back away. She sat down uninvited, pulling out the chair across from him with a confidence that surprised even herself. "She told me you've been grieving for 3 years. And that you're so lost in it, you're forgetting you still have a daughter who needs you." The bodyguard's eyes widened. Nobody spoke to Director Shin like this. Nobody. Park's hand actually touched his weapon now. Jae-sung held up a hand, stopping him. "You have no right to speak about things you don't understand." His voice was quiet but carried the weight of threat. The kind of quiet that preceded violence. Simone met his eyes without flinching. "You're absolutely right. I don't have any right. But your daughter asked a complete stranger for help because she's desperate. That should tell you something." Jae-sung looked at Yuna, really looked at her for maybe the first time in months. Saw how thin she'd gotten. The dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. The desperate hope in her expression mixed with fear that he might send Simone away. Something in his chest twisted painfully, the first real emotion he'd felt in weeks. "What exactly do you want?" His question was directed at Simone but his eyes stayed on his daughter. "Nothing," Simone said simply. "I don't want anything from you. Your daughter wants her father back. I'm a therapist who specializes in grief. She thinks I can help. I told her I'd give you one conversation. That's all this is." She gestured to the table, to the empty soju bottles, to the untouched food. "One honest conversation." Jae-sung's jaw tightened. "I don't need therapy." The words were automatic, defensive. The same words he'd said to Park and others who'd suggested it over the years. "Maybe not," Simone agreed, surprising him. "But you need to show up for her." She gestured to Yuna, who stood there holding her breath. "Look at her. Really look at her. When's the last time you actually saw your daughter?" The question hit like a slap. Jae-sung turned to Yuna and this time he didn't just glance. He looked. Saw the weight loss. The exhaustion. The journal clutched in her hands like a lifeline. The way she stood like someone braced for rejection. "Appa," Yuna whispered in Korean. "Please. Just try. For me?" The switch to Korean was deliberate, invoking the intimacy of family. The language of her mother. Jae-sung's hands clenched into fists on the table. His phone lay face up between them. The wallpaper visible, Hannah's smiling face. Simone followed his gaze to the phone. Your wife. Her voice was gentler now. He nodded stiffly, not trusting his voice. She was beautiful, Simone said quietly, honestly. How long has it been? 3 years. 2 months. 18 days. The precision of his answer revealed everything. He was counting. Still counting every day without her. And you're still eating alone on Friday nights? Simone asked, her tone careful but direct. I have responsibilities. The answer was automatic, rehearsed. We all have responsibilities, Simone countered. But your daughter needs a father, not a ghost going through the motions. The words hit like a physical blow. Jae-sung's carefully maintained composure cracked slightly. His hands unclenched and then clenched again, tighter. You don't know anything about me or my life. His voice held warning but also pain, raw and exposed. Then tell me, Simone said simply. Tell your daughter. She's right here, desperate to know you again. Desperate to have her father back. Yuna moved closer to the table. Appa, I showed Dr. Williams my journal. All the days I've been tracking. All the times you didn't come home. All the smiles that never happened. All the conversations we didn't have. Her voice broke. I'm losing you and I don't know how to stop it. Tears rolled down her cheeks freely now. I tried so hard to be good, to not bother you, to give you space to be sad. But it's been 3 years and you're getting worse, not better. Jae-sung looked at his daughter and saw, really saw, what his grief had done to her. The burden she'd been carrying alone. The weight of his pain added to her own. Yuna, he started, his voice rough with emotion he'd kept buried for years. I'm sorry. I didn't realize, he stopped, the words catching in his throat. That's the problem, Simone said gently. Grief makes us blind to everything except our own pain. But pain shared is pain lessened. Pain hidden is pain that grows until it consumes everything. Park cleared his throat from his position near the wall. Jae-sung glanced at him, and some silent communication passed between them. Park nodded slightly. It wasn't approval exactly, but it wasn't disapproval either. Jae-sung turned back to Simone and Yuna. What are you proposing? The question came out quietly, almost defeated. Simone leaned forward. 3 dinners. You, me, and Yuna. Real conversations. No phones. No work. No hiding behind walls. Just 3 honest meals together. And if I refuse? He had to ask, had to maintain some semblance of control over the situation that was rapidly spinning away from him. Then I walk away, Simone said. And you keep doing what you're doing. Keep dying slowly. Keep breaking your daughter's heart. Keep wasting whatever time you have left. Her words were harsh but her tone was compassionate. But I don't think that's what you want. And I know it's not what she needs. Yuna looked at her father with every ounce of hope she possessed. Please, Appa. 3 dinners. That's all. If it doesn't help, I promise I'll stop trying. I'll leave you alone. But please just try. The promise to leave him alone hurt more than anything else she'd said. The idea that she would give up on him. That she would accept his slow death and stop fighting for him. That hurt in a way he hadn't felt since Hannah's funeral. Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. The restaurant sounds faded away, the clinking of dishes, the murmur of other diners, the soft Korean music playing overhead. All he could hear was his daughter's breathing, quick and anxious. All he could see was the hope in her eyes, the same hope Hannah used to have when she believed he could be better. 3 dinners, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Just 3. Yuna's face transformed, hope blazing so bright it was almost painful to witness. Really? You promise? She needed to hear him say it, needed the commitment to be real. I promise, Jae-sung said, and something about making that promise felt significant. It was the first promise he'd made since Hannah died. The first time he'd committed to anything beyond the bare minimum of survival. Simone nodded, satisfied. Good. We'll start next Friday. Neutral territory. I'll text Yuna the details. How did you get my daughter's number? Jae-sung asked, his protective instincts finally kicking in. Yuna pulled out her phone sheepishly. I gave her my number. I found her. The admission hung in the air. Jae-sung processed this. His 11-year-old daughter had tracked down a therapist and orchestrated this entire meeting. The realization of how desperate she must have been, how much planning this took, how long she must have been working on this, it hit him like a truck. You did all this? He asked Yuna, his voice cracking slightly. The research, finding her, planning this? Yuna nodded, not sure if she was in trouble or not. I had to do something, Appa. I couldn't just watch you disappear. The simple honesty of it broke something in him. This child had been fighting for him while he'd been too buried in his own pain to notice. She'd been trying to save him while he'd been content to drown. Simone stood up, sensing the moment needed to end before it became too heavy. Next Friday. 7 o'clock. I'll send details to Yuna. She looked at Jae-sung directly. And come ready to actually talk. Not the surface stuff. Real conversation. He nodded, not trusting his voice. She turned to leave, then paused. Your daughter is remarkable. She loves you enough to ask a stranger for help. That kind of love deserves to be honored. Then she was gone, walking out into the rain. The silence after she left was thick. Jae-sung looked at Yuna, who stood there waiting for his reaction. He could be angry. Should be angry perhaps at the manipulation, the planning, the involvement of outsiders in their private pain. But looking at his daughter's hopeful, terrified face, he couldn't find anger. Only shame. Come here, he said softly in Korean. Yuna moved closer cautiously. He pulled her into a hug, really held her for the first time in months. She felt so small in his arms, too thin, too fragile. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. I'm so sorry, Yuna. She clung to him, crying into his expensive suit. I just want you back, Appa. I just want my dad back. He held her tighter, his own tears falling silently. Park and the other bodyguard looked away, giving them privacy in their public moment. After a long moment, Jae-sung pulled back and looked at his daughter. This woman, Dr. Williams. You trust her? Yuna nodded. She's good, Appa. She helps people. She can help us. The US didn't escape his notice. Not just him. Us. They were in this together. The week until Friday felt eternal. Yuna counted down the days in her journal, but this time the entries were different. Day 1, Appa came home for dinner. Ate with me. Asked about school. Day 2, Appa smiled once. Small but real. Day 3, Appa remembered my piano lesson. Something was shifting, slowly, like ice beginning to thaw. It wasn't transformation, not yet. But it was movement. And movement was everything. Simone spent the week second-guessing her decision. She called her best friend Tasha back in Atlanta. Girl, I did something crazy, she admitted. Tasha groaned. How crazy are we talking? Simone explained the whole situation, the desperate child, the grieving father, the agreement to have dinner with them. You agreed to what? Tasha's voice rose an octave. Simone, this is not appropriate. This is not professional. This is... I know, Simone interrupted. I know all the reasons this is wrong. But Tasha, you should have seen this kid. 11 years old and she's been carrying this alone for 3 years. Tracking her father's grief like a scientist studying a disease. She begged a stranger for help because she had nowhere else to turn. Tasha was quiet for a moment. And the father? What's his deal? Simone hesitated. Complicated. Successful businessman. Guarded. Possibly dangerous in some way, though I'm not sure how yet. But he loved his wife. That much is clear. Possibly dangerous and you're having dinner with him? Tasha's concern was evident. Simone, promise me you'll be careful. Meet in public places. Keep your phone on. Tell someone where you are. Simone smiled despite herself. I promise. And Tasha? Maybe this is why I moved to LA. Maybe I'm supposed to help them. Tasha sighed. Or maybe you're projecting your own grief onto a situation you should walk away from. But I know you won't walk away. You never do. Just be careful, okay? Friday arrived with the weight of expectation. Simone chose a neutral restaurant in Los Feliz, Italian, comfortable, far enough from Koreatown to not be on Jae-sung's territory. She arrived early, nervous in a way she hadn't been in years. This wasn't a therapy session. This was something else entirely. Something she couldn't quite define. Yuna arrived first, dressed carefully in a nice dress. Dr. Williams. She hugged Simone like they were old friends. Thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this. Call me Simone, she said gently. And you don't have to thank me. I want to be here. Jae-sung arrived exactly on time, dressed in his usual expensive suit but without the bodyguards. That was something at least. He'd left the obvious trappings of his world behind. He approached the table stiffly, uncomfortable in this setting. Dr. Williams, he said formally. Please, sit. And it's Simone. He sat across from her, Yuna between them like a bridge. The first 20 minutes were excruciating. Forced small talk. Weather. Traffic. The kind of surface conversation that meant nothing. Simone let it happen, let him acclimate to the situation. Then she shifted gears. So Yuna tells me you're an import-export? Her tone was conversational but her eyes were sharp. Among other things, Jae-sung answered carefully. Various business interests. The vagueness was deliberate. That's impressively vague, Simone observed. Are you always this guarded or is it just with strangers? It's complicated, he said, the same deflection he always used. Everything is complicated if you look close enough, Simone replied. But some things are also simple. Like the fact that your daughter is sitting here hoping we can all have a real conversation. She let the observation hang in the air. Jae-sung looked at Yuna, who was watching him with anxious hope. He took a breath, making a decision. What do you want to know? Tell me about your wife, Simone said. Not the surface stuff. Tell me what you loved about her. Jae-sung's hands tightened on his water glass. For a moment, Simone thought he might refuse, might shut down completely. Then he spoke. Hannah was a teacher. Korean literature at a Korean-American school. She loved books, loved stories. She believed in the power of words to heal. His voice was rough with emotion but he kept going. We met at a community fundraiser. I was there trying to look legitimate, respectable. She saw right through me. What did she say? Simone prompted gently. She said, I see a good man pretending to be something he's not. But I'm not fooled. A ghost of a smile touched his lips, the first genuine expression Simone had seen from him. She was right. She always was. Yuna leaned forward, hungry for these stories about her mother. What else, Appa? What else did Amma say? He looked at his daughter and something in him softened. She said I had kind eyes hiding behind cold ones. That I was capable of great love if I'd let myself feel it. And did you? Simone asked. Let yourself love her? Jae-sung nodded. She made it impossible not to. She was light and warmth and everything good I didn't think I deserved. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. She made me want to be better. Made me promise to be better. Simone leaned forward slightly. Tell me about that promise. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, she made me promise to go legitimate before Yuna started school. To leave the gray areas behind. Build something clean and safe. But you didn't, Simone said, not as accusation but as observation. No, he admitted, shame coloring his voice. Cancer came first. Aggressive. Fast. 6 months from diagnosis to, he couldn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. And after she died? Simone prompted. After she died, I didn't see the point anymore. The promise was to her. For her. Without her, it didn't matter. He looked at Yuna, apology in his eyes. I'm sorry. I know it matters. I know you're here. But I couldn't see past my own pain. Yuna reached across the table and took his hand. I understand, Appa. I miss her too. Every single day. Her voice was thick with tears. But you're still here. We're still here. And we're supposed to keep going. That's what Alma would want. Jae-sung squeezed her hand, his own tears threatening. I don't know how. I don't know how to move forward when moving forward feels like leaving her behind. Simone spoke carefully, each word chosen for impact. Moving forward isn't leaving her behind. It's taking her with you. Her love, her lessons, her hopes for you and Yuna. Those don't die just because she did. Jae-sung absorbed this, considering. How do you know? About grief, I mean. You speak like you understand it. Simone nodded. I lost someone too. Not to death but to divorce. My husband and I were together 6 years. It ended badly. I spent 2 years running from the pain, burying myself in work, keeping everyone at distance. What changed? Jae-sung asked, genuinely curious now. I moved here. Fresh start. And I realized I was giving my patients advice I couldn't follow myself. Telling them to be vulnerable, to let people in, to take risks for connection. All while doing the opposite. She looked at Yuna. Then this remarkable kid grabbed my arm in the rain and begged me to help her father. And I realized maybe this was my chance to practice what I preached. The waiter appeared, breaking the intensity of the moment. They ordered food, making small talk while the waiter was present. But something had shifted. The walls were still there but they had cracks now. Light was getting through. After the waiter left, Simone asked, what was Hannah's favorite food? Jae-sung smiled slightly. Japchae. Korean glass noodles. She could eat an entire bowl by herself. Yuna giggled. She taught me how to make it before she got too sick. She did? Jae-sung looked surprised. I didn't know that. Yuna nodded. She said every Korean woman should know how to make japchae. She showed me 3 times. Made me write down the recipe. She said someday I'd make it for someone I loved and I'd remember her. The memory made her smile through tears. I haven't made it since she died. It felt wrong without her. Jae-sung's voice was rough when he spoke. Maybe we could make it together sometime. You could teach me. The offer hung in the air, significant in its simplicity. A small bridge across 3 years of distance. I'd like that, Appa, Yuna said softly. Simone watched the exchange, her therapist heart recognizing the moment for what it was. Connection. Real, tentative connection. The food arrived and they ate, conversation flowing more naturally now. Jae-sung asked Yuna about school, actually listening to her answers. She told him about a boy who'd been mean to her friend and how she'd stood up to him. That's my daughter, Jae-sung said with unmistakable pride. Strong like your mother. After dinner, as they walked to their cars, Simone pulled Jae-sung aside while Yuna walked ahead. That was good tonight. Real progress. He nodded. Thank you. For showing up. For not giving up when I was being difficult. She smiled. You weren't difficult. You were scared. There's a difference. He looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. Why are you doing this? Really? You could have walked away that night in the rain. Simone considered the question honestly. Because your daughter asked for help and I couldn't say no. Because I see you drowning and I know what drowning feels like. And because maybe we all need each other more than we admit. She paused. Same time next week? He nodded. Same time next week. As she drove home, Simone realized she was smiling. Something about tonight had felt right in a way nothing had in months. Maybe Tasha was right about projection. Or maybe she was right about being where she was supposed to be. The second dinner was a week later. This time Simone chose a soul food restaurant in Inglewood, deliberately taking Jae-sung out of his comfort zone. When he arrived and saw the menu, his expression was uncertain. I've never had soul food before, he admitted. Simone grinned. Then you're in for an education. Trust me. She ordered fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, cornbread. The food arrived steaming and fragrant. Yuna tried the cornbread first, her eyes widening. This is amazing. Jae-sung took a hesitant bite of fried chicken. His expression shifted to surprise. This is really good. Simone laughed. Southern grandmothers don't play around with their recipes. She became more serious. Food is love in Black culture. Especially soul food. It's history and survival and celebration all on one plate. Jae-sung nodded slowly. It's similar in Korean culture. Food is how we show care. My mother would spend hours preparing meals for family gatherings. Tell me about your mother, Simone prompted. Jae-sung's expression grew complicated. She passed when I was 20. Cancer, like Hannah. She never approved of my choices, my business. She wanted me to be a doctor or lawyer. Something respectable. He paused. Hannah was the first person after my mother who looked at me and saw someone worth believing in. Yuna listened intently, learning pieces of her father's history she'd never heard before. Did your mother meet Hannah? Simone asked. Briefly. A few months before she died. She told Hannah to run, that I would only bring her pain. His voice was heavy with old guilt. But Hannah stayed anyway. Yuna touched his hand. Because she loved you, Appa. And she was right to stay. Look what she got, me. The simple logic of it made him laugh, a real laugh that surprised them all. Yes. She got you. The best thing either of us ever did. The conversation flowed more easily this week. Jae-sung asked Simone about Atlanta, about her family. She told them about her grandmother who raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 12. So you understand, he said quietly. Loss that shapes everything. She nodded. I do. And I understand trying to build walls so high that nothing can hurt you again. But walls that keep pain out also keep love out. That's the trade-off. Is that why your marriage ended? Jae-sung asked, then immediately looked apologetic. I'm sorry. That's too personal. Simone shook her head. No, it's fair. You've been honest with me. Yes, that's why it ended. My husband wanted more than I could give. He wanted vulnerability, partnership, real intimacy. I wanted safety. Control. Distance disguised as independence. He left because he was lonely even when we were together. Do you regret it? Yuna asked. Not fighting harder to keep him? Simone considered the question carefully. I regret not being brave enough to try. But I don't regret the ending. We weren't right for each other. He needed someone who could be fully present and I wasn't there yet. She looked at Jae-sung. Grief takes time. Healing takes time. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit we need help. As they finished the meal, Jae-sung said something that surprised them both. Hannah used to say something similar. She said strength isn't never falling down. Strength is getting back up and asking for a hand when you need one. Simone smiled. Your wife was a wise woman. He nodded. She was. I wish she was here to see Yuna growing up. She'd be so proud. Yuna's eyes filled with tears. Do you think she can see us, Appa? Wherever she is? Jae-sung pulled her close. I think if love survives anything, it survives death. So yes, I think she sees us. And I think she's glad we're trying to find our way back to living. The words felt like a turning point. An acknowledgement that living was possible, even necessary. As they left the restaurant, Simone felt hopeful. Progress was happening. Slowly, carefully, but real progress nonetheless. The third dinner came 2 weeks later. Jae-sung had business that prevented them from meeting the previous week, but he'd texted Simone to apologize and reschedule. The fact that he'd initiated contact felt significant. This time, he chose the restaurant, an upscale Korean place in Koreatown. I want to share my culture with you, he'd said. The way you shared yours. Simone arrived to find him already there, nervous in a way she hadn't seen before. The meal was elaborate. Banchan, small side dishes, covered the table. Bulgogi, japchae, kimchi jjigae. Jae-sung explained each dish, its significance, how Hannah used to make it. This, he said, pointing to the japchae, Yuna made this with Mrs. Kim last night. For tonight. Simone looked at Yuna, who smiled shyly. I wanted you to taste Amma's recipe. The gesture was so thoughtful, so intentional, that Simone felt her throat tighten. She took a bite, letting the flavors settle. Yuna, this is incredible. Your mother taught you well. Yuna beamed under the praise. They ate slowly, savoring both the food and the conversation. Jae-sung was more relaxed tonight, more present. He told stories about Hannah that made them laugh. About the time she'd tried to teach him to dance and he'd stepped on her feet so many times she gave up. About how she'd sung off-key in the shower every morning and he'd pretended to be annoyed but secretly loved it. What do you miss most? Simone asked gently. Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. Her voice. The way she said my name. She's the only person who ever made it sound like something good, something worth being. He looked at his hands. I miss her telling me I'm being an idiot. She never let me get away with my worst impulses. She'd see right through me and call me out with so much love I couldn't even be mad about it. Yuna wiped tears from her eyes. I miss her hugs. She always smelled like jasmine and books. And I miss how she'd read to me every night, doing different voices for all the characters. She looked at her father. You stopped reading to me after she died. The observation wasn't accusatory, just sad. Jae-sung's face crumpled slightly. I couldn't. Every book reminded me of her. Every story felt empty without her voice. What if we started again? Simone suggested gently. Not to replace those memories but to make new ones alongside them. Jae-sung looked uncertain. I don't know if I can. Yuna reached for his hand. We could try together. Maybe start with a new book. Something Amma never read to me. So it's just ours. The idea seemed to settle something in him. Okay. We can try. The moment was interrupted by a cold voice from across the restaurant. Director Shin. Enjoying family dinner? Jae-sung's entire body went rigid. His expression shuddered completely. A younger Korean man approached their table, expensively dressed with an edge of danger about him. Two men flanked him, clearly bodyguards. Simone's instincts screamed warning. Tommy, Jae-sung said, his voice flat and cold in a way she hadn't heard before. This is a private dinner. Tommy Kwon smiled but there was no warmth in it. Private dinner with your new friend? Word travels fast in our community, Director. People are talking. His eyes swept over Simone with calculated assessment. A black woman. How progressive of you. Does she know what you really do? The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Jae-sung stood slowly, positioning himself between Tommy and his table. Leave. Now. His voice carried the weight of command, of danger barely leashed. Or what? Tommy's smile widened. You'll do something in front of your daughter? In front of your new girlfriend? I don't think so. You've gone soft, Director. Everyone sees it. Taking time off for family dinners instead of handling business. It makes people wonder if you're still capable of leading. The challenge hung in the air, heavy with implication. Park appeared from somewhere, materializing beside Jae-sung. His hand was inside his jacket, clearly armed. Tommy, walk away, Park said quietly. Don't make this worse. Tommy looked at Park with contempt. You too, old man? Protecting his weakness instead of doing your job? He turned back to Jae-sung. 3 days. That's how long you have to get your priorities straight. Return to business properly or we'll have a problem. A big problem. His eyes flickered to Yuna and Simone. And we wouldn't want anything to happen to your new priorities, would we? The threat was explicit now. Simone's blood ran cold. Yuna grabbed her father's arm, trembling. Appa, Jae-sung's face was carved from stone. If you or any of your people come near my daughter or Dr. Williams, there won't be a place on this earth you can hide. Am I clear? The words were spoken softly but carried absolute conviction. Tommy held his gaze for a long moment, then stepped back. 3 days, Director. Think carefully about your choices. He left with his men, the entire restaurant having gone silent watching the confrontation. Jae-sung remained standing until they were gone, then sat heavily. His hands were shaking slightly. Simone stared at him, her mind racing. What just happened? Who was that? Her voice was calm but her heart was pounding. Jae-sung closed his eyes briefly. That was my world. The part one didn't tell you about. Appa runs different kinds of businesses, Yuna said quietly, her voice small. Not just import-export. Simone looked between them, pieces clicking into place. The bodyguards. The careful vagueness. The respect mixed with fear from others. You're in organized crime. It wasn't a question. Jae-sung nodded slowly. I prefer businessman with complicated interests. But yes. Korean organized crime. I've been trying to step back, go legitimate like Hannah wanted. Tommy and others don't like that. Simone sat back, processing. Every professional instinct screamed at her to leave, to run from this situation. He threatened us. Your daughter and me. Jae-sung's expression was anguished. I know. I'm sorry. This is exactly what I feared. My world touching yours. Endangering you both. He looked at Simone. You should go. Forget this arrangement. Forget us. It's not safe. His voice broke on the last word. No, Yuna said fiercely. No, you can't push us away again. That's what you do, Appa. Someone gets close and you push them away to keep them safe. But it doesn't keep us safe. It just makes you alone. Tears streamed down her face. I'm already in danger because I'm your daughter. Simone being here doesn't change that. What changes things is you giving up again. Simone was quiet, her mind working through the implications. She should leave. Should run. Should report this to authorities. But looking at Yuna's desperate face, at Jae-sung's broken expression, she found she couldn't. I'm not going anywhere, she heard herself say. Not because of some thug's threats. Jae-sung stared at her. You don't understand the danger. These aren't empty threats. Then help me understand, Simone said. Stop hiding behind vague explanations. Tell me everything. What you do. What Tommy wants. What's really at stake here? She leaned forward. If we're going to do this, if we're going to help you actually heal and change your life, I need the whole truth. No more walls. No more protecting me from reality. Her voice was firm but not unkind. Jae-sung looked at his daughter, then at Simone. He made a decision. Okay. The truth. He spoke quietly, conscious of other diners. I run protection for Korean businesses in LA gambling operations. Some import-export that exists in gray legal areas. Nothing that directly harms people, no drugs, no trafficking. But still criminal. Still dangerous. He paused. Hannah knew. She wanted me out. Made me promise to go legitimate before Yuna started school. But she died first, Simone said softly. And you stayed in because the promise died with her. He nodded. I convinced myself it didn't matter anymore. That without her, without something to be better for, there was no point in changing. He looked at Yuna. I was wrong. I had someone to be better for. I just couldn't see past my own pain to realize it. Simone absorbed this. And Tommy? What's his angle? Jae-sung's expression hardened. He's younger generation. More ruthless. Less honor. He wants my territory, my operations. He's been waiting for me to show weakness. These dinners, my stepping back from day-to-day business, to him it looks like weakness. Like opportunity. He met Simone's eyes. He'll use you to get to me if he can. So what do we do? Yuna asked, her voice stronger now. We don't let him win, Simone said firmly. We don't let fear make our decisions. She looked at Jae-sung. You said Hannah wanted you to go legitimate. So do it. Actually do it. Not someday. Now. Start the process now. Jae-sung shook his head. It's not that simple. You can't just walk away from this life. There are obligations, territories, people who depend on. Excuses, Simone interrupted. You're making excuses because change is hard and scary. But your daughter is sitting here having just watched a man threaten her life. That's the cost of staying. What's the cost of leaving? The question hung heavy. Jae-sung had no answer. I don't know how, he finally admitted. I've been in this life for 20 years. It's all I know besides Hannah and Yuna. Then we figure it out together, Simone said. You, me, Yuna. We make a plan. We take it one step at a time. She looked at both of them. But I need to know you're committed. Really committed. Not just to these dinners but to actually changing your life. Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and took Simone's hand. I'm committed. I'll do whatever it takes. For Yuna. For Hannah's memory. 4, he stopped, unable to finish. The restaurant had started to empty, staff beginning to clean. They'd been there for hours without realizing it. As they walked out, Jae-sung insisted his men follow Simone home. Just for tonight. Until I can assess the real threat level. She wanted to argue but saw the fear in his eyes. Okay. Just for tonight. In her car, following Park's vehicle, Simone finally let herself shake. What had she gotten herself into? Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you ever met someone who changed your life in an unexpected way? Someone who showed up exactly when you needed them, even if you didn't know it? Drop your story in the comments below. And if you're invested in seeing how this story ends, hit that like button and subscribe because what happens next will test everything these three people have built together. The stakes just got real, and someone's life might depend on the choices they make in the next few days. That night, Simone couldn't sleep. She lay in bed replaying everything. The threat. Jae-sung's admission. Her own decision to stay despite the danger. She called Tasha. Before you say anything, yes, I know I'm crazy. Tasha's voice was sharp with concern. Simone, what happened? She explained everything. The confrontation. The organized crime. The threats. The long silence after she finished was louder than any words. You need to leave, Tasha finally said. Pack your bags and come back to Atlanta. This is not your problem to solve. Simone closed her eyes. I can't. That little girl, Tasha. She's been fighting alone for 3 years. And her father is finally trying. If I walk away now, it confirms everything he believes, that getting close to people only brings pain, that change is impossible, that he's better off alone. And if you stay and something happens to you? Tasha's voice cracked. What then? You're not a superhero, Simone. You're a therapist with a savior complex who's about to get hurt, or worse, playing with the Korean Mafia. The words stung because they were partially true. Maybe, Simone admitted. But maybe I'm also someone who showed up when a child needed help. And I'm not abandoning her now. Tasha sighed heavily. Then promise me you'll be careful. Really careful. And keep me updated. Every day. Simone promised. After hanging up, she stared at the ceiling. Was she making a terrible mistake? Probably. But walking away felt worse. The next morning, Yuna texted. Are you okay? I'm scared. Simone's heart broke. This child was worried about her when she should be worried about herself. I'm fine, honey. Are you safe? The response came quickly. Yes. Appa has extra security. He didn't sleep. He's been making calls all night. Simone thought about calling him, then decided to wait. He needed space to handle whatever he was handling. But the waiting was torture. Finally, at noon, her phone rang. Jae-sung's voice was rough with exhaustion. I'm sorry. For last night. For everything. She sat down, her legs suddenly weak. Tell me what's happening. He took a breath. I'm doing it. What you said. I'm going legitimate. I've called my lawyers, my accountants. We're starting the process. That's a big decision, Simone said carefully. Are you sure? His laugh was bitter. No. I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of Yuna growing up in this world. Of you getting hurt because of me. Of wasting more years hiding from the promise I made to Hannah. His voice steadied. It'll take time. Months, maybe a year. But I'm done. Really done. Simone felt relief wash over her. What about Tommy? I'm handling Tommy, Jae-sung said, and something in his tone made her not want to ask for details. He won't bother you or Yuna again. I've made that very clear to people who matter. There was steel beneath the exhaustion. Can we still do dinner this Friday? I know after last night you might want distance, but, he stopped, vulnerable in a way that still surprised her. I need this. We need this. Yes, Simone said without hesitation. Friday. Same time. After they hung up, she sat with the weight of what was happening. She was involved now, truly involved, in a way that went beyond professional helping. This family had gotten under her skin. Yuna with her fierce love and determination. Jae-sung with his grief and slow awakening. She cared about them. Maybe more than was wise. Friday's dinner was different. They met at a quiet cafe, deliberately low-key after the drama of the previous week. Jae-sung looked exhausted but lighter somehow. I met with my lawyers for 6 hours yesterday. We're drawing up plans to liquidate the questionable operations, convert everything to legitimate businesses. It's complicated but doable. Yuna squeezed his hand. I'm proud of you, Appa. His eyes glistened. I should have done this years ago. For your mother. For you. Simone watched them, this father and daughter finding their way back to each other. What's the timeline? Jae-sung shrugged. 6 months minimum. Maybe a year. Some of it depends on finding buyers, untangling partnerships, making sure people are taken care of. He met her eyes. I know it's not fast enough. But it's real. I'm really doing it. She believed him. Could see the commitment in every line of his face. What will you do? Simone asked. After? When it's all legitimate? He smiled slightly. Hannah wanted to open a restaurant. Korean soul fusion, she called it. Mixing our cultures through food. He glanced at Simone. Maybe that's not such a crazy idea. Yuna gasped. Really, Appa? You'd do that? He nodded. Why not? I'll need something to do with my time. And it honors her dream. The conversation drifted to lighter topics. Yuna's upcoming school play. Simone's new patient who reminded her of a younger version of herself. The terrible traffic in LA, normal things. Easy things. Things that felt like healing. As the evening wound down, Jae-sung walked Simone to her car. Thank you, he said quietly. For not running. For staying even when it got dangerous and complicated. Thank you for letting me in, Simone replied. For trusting me with your story, your pain, your family. They stood there in the parking lot, the city lights creating a halo around them. Something unspoken hung between them, heavy with possibility. I should go, Simone said, but didn't move. Jae-sung stepped closer. Simone, he stopped, searching for words. You make me want to be the man Hannah believed I could be. The man I promised her I'd become. She touched his face gently. You're becoming that man. I see it happening. He covered her hand with his. Stay close? Through this process? I know Friday dinners were supposed to be temporary but, she smiled. I'm not going anywhere. The almost kiss hung in the air between them, but neither moved to close the distance. Not yet. The timing wasn't right. But someday, maybe. 3 months later, Yuna stood on stage at her school play, delivering her lines with confidence. In the audience, Jae-sung sat beside Simone, actually watching instead of checking his phone. He'd been to every rehearsal, every performance. When Yuna took her bow, he stood and applauded loudly, pride radiating from every part of him. That's my daughter, he said to Simone, voice thick with emotion. She's incredible. After the play, they went for ice cream, the three of them. A normal family doing normal things. Appa, guess what? Yuna said, chocolate ice cream on her nose. I got an A on my English paper. Mrs. Chen said it was the best essay she'd read all year. Jae-sung beamed. What was it about? Yuna glanced at Simone. It was about how families can grow in unexpected ways. How love doesn't follow rules or logic. How sometimes strangers become family. Simone felt tears prick her eyes. She'd read the essay. It was beautiful and honest and full of hope. You're an amazing writer, Yuna. Just like your mom. Yuna smiled. Alma would like you, Simone. I know she would. The certainty in her voice was absolute. Jae-sung reached across the table and took Simone's hand. She would love you. For saving us. For showing up when we needed you most. The transition out of criminal life was slower than Jae-sung hoped but steady. Some former associates were angry. Others understood. Tommy Kwan had tried to make trouble twice more but each time, Jae-sung had the support of the older, more respected leaders who remembered Hannah and respected his decision to honor her wishes. By month 6, most of the questionable operations were dissolved or sold. The legitimate businesses were thriving under proper management. Jae-sung started therapy officially, with a colleague of Simone's who specialized in trauma and grief. The sessions were hard, dredging up pain he'd buried for years. But slowly, piece by piece, he was rebuilding himself. Learning to carry Hannah's memory without being crushed by it. Learning that loving her didn't mean dying with her. That moving forward was honoring her, not betraying her. One evening, 9 months after that rainy night when Yoona grabbed Simone's arm, they visited Hannah's grave together. All three of them. They'd planted a memorial garden, Korean roses and African marigolds growing together, different but beautiful. Hannah, Jae-sung said softly, kneeling by the headstone. I kept my promise. Finally. I'm out. Completely legitimate. And Yoona is thriving. She's happy and strong and so much like you. He glanced at Simone, who stood a respectful distance back with Yoona. And I met someone. Someone who helped me find my way back. I think you'd like her. She's stubborn and direct and she doesn't let me hide from hard truths. His voice broke slightly. I'm trying to live again, not just exist. Trying to be present for Yoona. Trying to be the man you believed I could be. I hope wherever you are, you're proud. Yoona knelt beside him. Alma, I miss you every day. But I'm okay now. We're okay now. Appa smiles again. He comes to my plays and helps with homework and we cook your recipes together. The house feels alive again instead of like a museum. She wiped tears from her eyes. And Simone is amazing. She's not replacing you. Nobody could. But she's teaching us how to live with missing you instead of dying from it. Simone joined them, kneeling on Jae-sung's other side. Hannah, I never met you but I feel like I know you through them. Through their love for you. Your daughter is remarkable, brave and loving and wise beyond her years. Your husband is learning to let people in again, to believe he deserves happiness. Thank you for the family you built. For the love that survived even death. I promise to honor that. To help them keep honoring you. They sat in silence for a while, the three of them together. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Jae-sung reached out and took Simone's hand, his other arm around Yoona. We should go, he said finally. I promised Mrs. Kim we'd be home for dinner. As they walked back to the car, Yoona skipped ahead, lighter than she'd been in years. Jae-sung and Simone walked hand in hand. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything. For showing up that night. For not running when things got complicated. For believing I could change. Simone squeezed his hand. Thank you for letting me in. For trusting me with your broken pieces. For having the courage to actually change. They reached the car where Yoona waited. Ready? Simone asked. Yoona nodded enthusiastically. Can we get Korean Seoul Fusion for dinner? That new place opened downtown. Jae-sung laughed, a sound that came more easily now. Korean Seoul Fusion again? You're obsessed. Yoona grinned. It's research for when we open our own restaurant, remember? He'd told her about the plan last month. Her excitement had been overwhelming. Right. Research. He looked at Simone. You in? She smiled. Always. They drove into the city together, this family built from grief and hope and desperate love. So here's what I want you to take away from this story. Grief doesn't have to be a life sentence. Yes, it changes you. Yes, the loss stays with you. But you're allowed to live again. To love again. To find joy again. The people we've lost would want that for us. Hannah wanted it for Jae-sung. And eventually, he gave himself permission to honor her by actually living. Second lesson, love comes in unexpected packages. Yoona expected a Korean woman from their community. Someone familiar and safe. Instead, she found Simone, an outsider who brought exactly the perspective they needed. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones we least expect. Be open to unexpected connections. They might change your life. Third, children see what adults hide from. Yoona saw her father's pain when he couldn't name it. She saw the solution when he was too lost to look. She had the courage to ask a stranger for help. Listen to the children in your life. They see more than we give them credit for. Their wisdom might save you. And finally, it's never too late to keep a promise. Jae-sung broke his promise to Hannah for 3 years. But when he finally chose to honor it, it still mattered. It still changed everything. Whatever promise you've been avoiding, whatever change you've been postponing, it's not too late. Start now. Today. This moment. If this story touched you, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel and most importantly, drop a comment below. Tell me about a time someone unexpected changed your life. Or tell me about a promise you need to keep. Or just tell me this story moved you. Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you know someone who's drowning in grief, who's pushing people away out of fear, who's forgotten how to live, share this video with them. Sometimes we all need permission to heal. Sometimes we all need to hear that it's okay to be happy again. Sometimes we all need a reminder that love doesn't replace love, it expands it.